I'm here to just introduce a project, a business project that got launched in a digital media classroom, and to kind of tell you how that happened. And then Joe Albrethson is here, and he's the driving force behind it, and he's going to tell you all about the product. That sound good? So we have an animation major here on campus. I don't know how many saw The Lizard and the Ladder. It was, kind of featured here at the university. That was a whole year ago. But that was nominated for a Student Academy Award. And at the time that came out, we were only doing short films. But we hired a new faculty member. We knew that we wanted to expand into the game development world. It's there's a large game manufacturing, game development component here in the state of Utah, and we wanted to be able to touch base with that industry, and we wanted to move that direction. We hired a new faculty member, and we had a handful of students come forward and say, well, we're interested in building games instead of making movies, making little cartoon shorts. So during a summer class, I taught a writing class. It was a project writing class. Joe and a couple of other students who became his partners were enrolled in that class. And I got to say, for a short 3-hour class, 3-credit-hour class, I don't know how many hours they actually put in, but they went through a paper prototyping process, a writing process that has not been equaled, and I think rarely will be. I don't know how many hours you spend in the lab, but it was significant. And at the end of the term, at the end of the summer term, of course, we had each team present their stuff. Now, everybody else had done. It was a good class, but I think these guys had done 10 times, put in that number of hours, and so by the end of the summer term, they really had some great ideas. As hard as they worked, the idea that they developed over the summer didn't go anywhere. We made a presentation to some industry guys from Chair Entertainment. They're an Epic studio. So those of you who know who Epic Games are. So and they took a look at all this work that the students had done, and they said, well, we really applaud your efforts, but this game is not going to really go anywhere. I said, well, we have a couple of other ideas in the can. Let me just throw one out at you. And at the end of that little presentation, the two directors at Chair Entertainment said, now that is a good idea. And it had to do with dub music and dubstep. I actually knew what dubstep was. I even knew who Skrillex was. I knew who some of the guys, because I have a teenager at home who had gotten into dubstep, which I thought was very strange at first. But, I was actually familiar with the music itself. These guys wanted to build a game that was centered on the beat of the music. And at the same time, we were trying to figure out as a department how we could allow our students to take the projects they were doing in class and commercialize them. We were very interested in doing this so that they could actually launch a project, and going out into the workforce, they could say, yes, I've not only developed a game, but it's been released on the fill in the blank console. And so this is very much a part of our thinking when, out of the blue, we got a call from Kent Millington, who runs the technology commercialization program here at UVU. He had, at random, sat down with a couple of students in the lunchroom just to communicate with them and see what they were doing as students. They happened to be they were digital media students. I think that's all there is in the cafeteria. No, I walk through, I see my guys all the time. But nonetheless, they were sitting there. He sat next to them. They started talking about the game project they were working on. Kent called me, and we had a little meeting. Kent and I and a couple of others. He started talking about the game they were developing. He just asked a few questions. Do you think it's commercially viable? And we said, you know what, we think we can turn out a project that will be. And so that started about an 18-month process to get through the legal steps, because I knew that there were laws, rules, regulations governing what's done in a classroom, as do you. And you can't just, you know, a student can't just lift something he does in his classroom and take it out there. I don't know if you know that or not, but you can't do that. So we had to jump through all the legal hoops and actually get a contract in place with all the legal entities, you know, an established licensed business, all that other kind of stuff. So that took about, truthfully, it took about 18 months. But by the time we had the mechanism in place, these guys had gone through sort of this refining fire where they'd built a title. It worked, but it wasn't great. And so they scrapped it. And they built another title, and it worked, but it wasn't great. It wasn't going anywhere. And you know, the third idea was sort of the charm. And so, you know, we signed all the paperwork. We got it going, and this project, Dubstep, has grown legs, or Dub Wars, which features dubstep music. It's grown legs, and it looks like in the not too distant future, upon graduation, these guys are going to be able to launch a little company and have a title out there that's distributed on a number of platforms. And I'll let Joe fill in all the important stuff.
Okay, so nobody's heard of Dub Wars yet? Okay, couple people? All right, so I've been showing it down in the Zone, if you're familiar with that. It's down by the bookstore. So you may have seen it down there, or marketing may have gone through. Okay, so I am Joe Albrethson. I'm the creative architect. It's kind of a title that I coined myself because I feel like I am in the digital media space, but I don't draw, I don't do anything technical on the computer per se. So I really am kind of this entrepreneur that snuck into where all these computer scientists and artists are, and I said, hey, let's get together, let's form a team, let's make a game. The name of the company that we created this year in January is Mira Interactive LLC. And if you have any further questions, you can hit me up at that email. So I want to start out with a question, and I want you to think about this. What drives you? What is it that keeps you going? And as an entrepreneur, what gets you up in the morning? What keeps you up very late at night? This is Skylantis. This is our first project that Rodane mentioned. And this is a project that had been going on for, 9 months to a year prior, before I even joined the department and eventually joined this team. I had an option to join the Skylantis game project or an animation, and I chose this. Games definitely intrigued me a lot more. So what we did is, as we learned about the ability to commercialize a game project, they've been working on this for a long time. I joined them, put in, probably 3-4 months of work. And what was kind of exciting is within the first month, I really knew very little about game development. I was just learning the programs. And I had these guys actually asking me, okay, Joe, what do we do next? And so to me, that was fun. It's like, okay, well, I do kind of follow this natural leadership role. And so they recognized that, and they said, hey, we want you to take over the team. We want you to push it. And so I gladly accepted, and I worked with these guys. We filled out a lot more content, and we said, okay, let's get this out here. Let's do a Kickstarter campaign, see if we can raise some funds. And we let it go on a little over a week, and about 99% of it was friends and family that donated. And the feedback that we got was, this really isn't a game that we want to play. This isn't a game that we'd buy. And eventually we'd gotten partnered up with the BRC, so that's a Business Resource Center, if you're familiar with that. And learning their processes, they talk about, don't hide in a closet and develop your stuff and then expect when it's almost developed that everybody's going to love it. So get your feedback early. And this was the first time that we'd really gotten outside feedback. People said, we're really not impressed. This isn't something we want to buy. And a lot of people might take that and say, oh, okay, I'm not a game developer, I can't develop, I'm a failure, and they might just clam up and go away. But I took that as, kind of what drove me, and I said, okay, well, we learned a new process. We got to get feedback early. We got to get it often, and we got to move forward. About the same time that we launched our campaign, UVU is a new Android gaming console launched theirs. So they had $950,000 goal. They hit that within a matter of hours, and over the next month, they raised nearly $9 million. And so we were running our campaign simultaneously. We're saying, okay, well, we definitely don't have a product that people are excited about. And having something like this run with you, it's okay, these guys have definitely done their homework. Their niche is they want indie developers. The nice thing about the UVU, and this is actually it right here, for $99 you get this console. All the games that are on it are free to play or they have a demo. And as a developer, you buy the console for $100 and you can put your game up on it for free. So if you can develop a great game, you now have a platform that's very accessible. So as a small team, as an indie, I said, okay, this is great. So I actually spoke with Rodane, and we invested in a dev kit. So that's this one right here. So we've got this nice, clear, cheap plastic dev kit that they sent out to all of the Kickstarter backers. And we got it about the end of December, early January this year. And so they sent it out, and they were doing a soft launch. So they had 63,000 backers. They had quite a few units that were going out, plus all the people that purchased it off their website. So we said, okay, we want to have a game that we can have for launch and take to the UVU, but what we are currently working on is a game called Cape Chronicles. So that's it in the upper left. We went from Skylantis to, okay, let's incorporate maybe some multiplayer aspects. This is the game that we actually developed in the storytelling workshop class. So we paper prototyped a board game of this. We said we want to have characters that have different elemental abilities. And as you go through the game, you can get, fire, ice, lightning, and then depending on what you have, it may affect other enemies or it may not. They may be immune to some of these abilities. With just a few art pieces, we actually entered a competition and we won. So it was a crowd voting competition. And so for us, we said, okay, we developed a full game, nobody wants it. We developed a piece of artwork, everybody goes crazy and they love it. So it's like, okay, we're on to something. Now let's start building a game that will work out for us. So we spent about 6 months development, took the artwork, actually created a 2.5D platformer. So it's 3D elements, but you're fixed. It's kind of like Super Mario. The original Mario's going side to side, but we had 3D elements, so it gives it a nicer look. With that, we also entered a game jam competition for the UVU, and at the time, it didn't run very well. So we had an 8-second lag, which is terrible. You can't do that. You push left, and you have to wait 8 seconds before your character will move. So what happened is this machine right here, it runs graphics very well. It does not run a lot of geometry. So if you have a ton of characters, there's a lot going on in your game, it just kills it. It's just terrible frame rate, input lag, everything, you name it. And we were able to enter the game in, even though it was still not running very well, just because of the way it looked. We had part of the game jam, we won actually another UVU, which is good for development. And people said, hey, we love it, it looks great, just make sure it runs better, and it's something we'd buy. We also entered it into IDMA, which is an International Digital Media Arts Association. And this is a picture of Richard Hillman. So he's, if you're familiar, one of the original guys at EA. And so he's responsible for the Madden series and some other great titles. So as a student, it was great. I was able to go to Florida. I got to meet some of these guys in the industry. And we took home another game design award for Cape Chronicles. And so what we had is this game that we were winning awards, people were loving, and then we took it to, Epic Chair, and they said, hey, Cape Chronicles is great, but the thing that you're missing is it's kind of generic. Unless you put a ton of effort into this, it really is most likely not going to catch on. And so the other demo that we brought with us, and I'm glad that we did, it was a last-minute decision. Do we bring our dubstep arena? So this right here is our prototype, and if you're really keen, you can tell that that's actually Mario Kart level that we recreated. So we said, hey, let's build this quick little level. And Dubstep Arena, the way it works is our original plan, we wanted when you fired your weapons, it created dubstep music. And so we had all these fantasies of these people that they get together on YouTube, they're playing this game, they're hitting the buttons at the perfect time, they're making their own dubstep music. So it's kind of a create your own dubstep. We had really cool effects. It's like a twisted metal car combat type of game. So we showed this to Chair, said, guys, this is great. We really love the concept. We're not too keen on the car combat, it's kind of cluttering it up, but really take this dubstep idea and run with it, And so we said, okay, so we went back to the drawing board. And at this point, oh gosh, I think this was February. And so we're burning time. We have a soft launch for the Ouya in March, and we'd already scrapped one game. I said, okay, we're walking away from Cape. We start on Dubstep Arena, and they said, you know what, this isn't working either. So we said, okay, we're going to walk away from this one. And I'm going to show you a trailer, and this is of Dub Wars right now. So this is our current trailer. See, we got fans already. And what was exciting is we said, okay, well, we want to hit the soft launch. So we spent the next 6 weeks, we put in 100-hour weeks easily. I mean, countless hours to be able to get this together. And we launched it on the Ouya. We were able to be a part of their soft launch. At the time, we didn't have anything that was able to sell. We just had the one level, just one. That right there showed 3. We just had one that was available. And we said, we just want to get it out there. We want people to see it. We want feedback. And by doing that, one of the people that did see it is the marketing director for Nyko Technologies. So they make third-party peripherals, controllers, and things for the big platforms. So Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. And they said, hey, how would you guys like to come to E3, which is the biggest gaming convention that there is? And we're just like, you got to be kidding me. What actually happened is we got a Facebook message. And we hadn't been keeping up our Facebook, but one of the guys just happened to check. And here's this message from Nyko. We almost thought it was a joke. It's like 2 weeks to the event, and they said, okay, the only caveat is you got to get a build up on an Android device so that we can show it. And so we said, okay, no problem. We hadn't even touched it yet, but we'll make it happen, right? This is an opportunity. So our programmer went to work. Prior to the event, it was down in LA, I logged a 141-hour week, and we were just taking shifts, a couple hours sleeping, just getting everything ready, so it was pretty intense. And then, whether we should admit it or not, we drove down there. So I mean, we're all just completely trashed, and we've been working to death, but you talk about what drives you. Opportunity like this, as a student, as an indie developer, as just a company, this kind of exposure we knew was just going to be phenomenal, and it was. So we got to go down there and just, if you've ever been to that event or seen videos, it's out of this world. There's just 50-foot things, statues and lights and 1,000-inch screens, and it's just out of control. So it was just a lot of fun, and we met some really good connections down there. So things started rolling now that we got a little bit of exposure. UVU did a press release, and they said, hey, we've got some students that are working on something great. And we got picked up by the Daily Herald, Salt Lake Tribune. We had a spot on Fox 13, which was fun. And Joystick is one of these blogs that covers gaming. And we had the CEO and one of their marketing officers say, Dub Wars is our favorite game on the Ouya. And it's like there was 100+ games on the platform at the time. And so we just, okay, now we're getting somewhere. This is not Skylantis where everybody's saying we don't want it. We've got people that are just, they're going crazy over it. So it's a ton of fun. It's a much better position. So from there, we branched out, and I actually was giving a presentation with one of our other team members in the digital lecture series. And we had a guy in the back of the room say, well, I know Skrillex, and I can probably get you hooked up to him. And we kind of looked at each other and said, okay, you know, all right. You're kind of speechless, but that's, as a dubstep game, you're thinking, okay, Skrillex, he's the most famous dubstep artist there is. We'd love to get connected with him. So he said, let me get you in contact with this agent, and he can probably get you set up. Well, the guy's name is Brian. He's out of Los Angeles, and he represents another company, which is Team Crafted. And so if you're familiar with Minecraft, you know, it's big. And these guys make a living just doing mods and reviews. That's all they do. They just cover a game. They just play this game, and they have over 10 million subscribers. And they said, hey, we love your game. And this guy right here is Jason, whose Minecraft Universe is his tagline. He said, I've got this outro that I put on all of my videos. And my subscribers say, hey, you should really make this into a song. And it kind of had some dubstep elements. So he said, let me make this into a full song. And he did. And so we've got one of our songs right now is from Minecraft Universe. And we now have access to, when we're ready to start marketing, it's free advertising. We've got 10 million subscribers that, you know, these people just go nuts. And talk about loyal fans. They push other products, and people just go crazy. So we're really excited about that opportunity. That didn't turn out very well, but these are the 5 levels that we have right now. So the plan is to have 10 levels upon release. These are 5 right now. So Eclipse is this Minecraft one. We've got Tough Guy by Cell Dweller, Synergy, Break It Up, Urban Metaphor. Urban Metaphor is a fun story because that's the first one that we started with. And our artist that does all of the actual visual art, he's this over-talented guy that he also writes music too. He's like, oh, I do music in the spare time, and we're just like, okay, we'll definitely want you on our team. But he's like, I don't do dubstep music. He's like, I don't have the tools for that. I've never done it. I don't want anything to do with it, because if you listen to dubstep, there's some bad dubstep out there. and we've been very selective. We've gone through, you know, hundreds and hundreds of songs, trying to pick out the ones that they don't fatigue. They really, you know, have a nice combination with our game, because what we've done is we've tied all of the weapons to the music. So there's no fire button. You just move and you aim, and that's all there is. So this kid right here, when I went to draw up the contract, I found out he's 15 years old, living out of New Jersey, and it's like, okay, I can handle that. And I don't honestly care if you're 9 years old or 15 years old. I love your song, and I love to work with you. And he said, great, let's do it. So we have, this is an indie artist down here. That's another indie artist, Break It Up. He just turned 18, so I don't know why I didn't ask him, but I actually had to re-sign a contract because he wasn't, you know, old enough at the time. And then Tough Guy is kind of our prominent one. This is a more famous. So we have Cell Dweller. Tim Eismag did a remix of it. So we're starting to branch out and get a little bit more brand recognition through our songs. And this is the Minecraft Universe, which is big. And then this is another indie artist that's out of Spain. So that was kind of fun to Skype with this guy. He's a really great guy. What we're doing, we're talking about, Rodane mentioned it'd be great as a student to be able to build a game and release it on one console. And so we've already done that with the UVU. We made the decision early on to develop in Unity. And what that has allowed us to do is it really makes it accessible to multi-platform. So right now, that's kind of my role I play is manager, business relations, and design. With Unity, it allows us to branch out to multiple, so this isn't even all the actual platforms that we could be eligible for. So a couple up on the list, I am still getting approval for. Xbox One, we have an application that's in review. Desura, we are approved. Origin is one that I'm working on, but Ouya is already out there. We're looking at having this on tablets, so iPad, Windows, the Google Play Store. NVIDIA is another one that we met down at E3. So they put out their new NVIDIA Shield console, and they said, hey, it's already Android, let's see if we can get on the system. And so they actually loaded it up on their brand new console down at E3, and we got to see Dub Wars played on that, so that was fun too. So we're looking at having this 15 plus platforms next summer when we go to release. So it's been just pretty much a wild ride coming from Skylantis, which nobody wanted, to just constantly working refining, and that's kind of where we leave it at today. So one thing you guys could definitely do for us right now is if you have a Steam account, you could vote for us on Greenlight. So we're trying to get approved on there. And here's another email that you could reach out if you have any questions. One slide I didn't add that I really should, and you should probably add in yours as well, is the great support that I've had. So not only from Rodane, but people like Ken Millington and Ryan, Roger, and Steve down at the BRC, and now Shauna, which is great. So I'm starting to build a portfolio and networking, and it's, as a student, it's really exciting because by the time I graduate, I'm hoping that Mura will be fully funded and I'll be able to work for myself. So.